We want to be seen and acknowledged. It's what drives us. And yet it's a thing that few of us do for others. We don't acknowledge others. I feel like it's a lost art.
So I believe we need to figure out where we're going and why. And that can be for a 3-month window, it can be for a year, it doesn't have to be for your lifetime, but just where are you going next? And how are you growing next?
So anytime I'm smiling, thinking something positive, or dancing, it shifts the energy in that moment and usually shifts the outcome of the rest of the day.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 of Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 and 9. For my top 10, top 10, 9 and 9. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because chances are you are the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Lewis Howes, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Smile more.
Anytime I think something positive or I'm grateful, I smile at someone or I dance, I feel like it lifts my energy up to a new level. Especially if I feel down or frustrated about something, if I'm walking down the street or I'm going to get lunch or a coffee or something, when I just smile at random strangers or, the person who's making my coffee, it just makes them smile, which makes me feel better, which continues the cycle of my day. So anytime I'm smiling, thinking something positive, or dancing, it shifts the energy in that moment and usually shifts the outcome of the rest of the day.
Rule number 2, control your emotions.
Let's talk about the aggressive mask.
Mm-hmm.
I think you highlighted that a little bit with the basketball.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is the man that just doesn't know how to express himself in any other way. And so he uses aggression to assert his dominance. And he reacts with aggression because acting any other way isn't manly. Acting any other way is weak, is soft, is girly, whatever it may be, other words that are not in this PG-rated podcast. And again, I don't know many things good that come from anger. Like, even fighting anger with anger back. Like, I don't know many things that are good. And so, is it Martin Luther King who said something? Did you give me this quote about Martin Luther King?
I don't know.
He said something like, "I'll never get angry because of a man's efforts." I'm messing up the quote, but I'll never get angry because of the man's efforts because I will never give him power over me.
Yeah.
Getting angry over someone else's actions gives them power over you. You're saying that you have control, I'm going to react to your control. As opposed to, I'm going to be at peace, and I'm going to have control over my reactions. And that's some power right there.
Yeah.
When you don't respond with anger, that is the ultimate power, even when the worst things happen. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be frustrated, you shouldn't be angry from time to time and things like that. I just think, again, we get to be aware. If our default is anger when someone cuts us off and we start freaking out, if our default is passive-aggressive anger when our girlfriend or wife does something we don't like, when our kids do something, we're going to constantly snap at them and get angry and like get the whip out or whatever it is. It's like, how does that serve humanity? How does that teach the people around us what a man is supposed to be? Always angry? Is that what a man is? Is that healthy to teach that? So we get to look within ourselves. Again, I was telling you, I almost got so angry the other day because I missed my flight.
Yeah.
And the TSA people took forever to get through. And I was like, come on, guys, get me through here. I'm going to miss the flight. The door shut like as I'm coming around the corner of the gate. And I wanted to freak out on like the whole airport. I wanted to scream. I wanted to kick over the trash cans. I wanted to punch the walls. I wanted to like yell at the customer support person. And I was like feeling this rage boil up inside of me. I was just like, breathe. I was just like breathe, don't make a scene, because that would be my natural default.
Yeah.
It'd still be like, yes, this is what's okay. I'm allowed to do this. But that doesn't serve the situation. It doesn't help me. It makes me look like an idiot, and it causes chaos that then I have to deal with at a later time and apologize and all these things. So it's like in those moments of anger, breathe. Breathe. Like continue to breathe until you're not angry. It may take you an hour. You know what I mean? For some of us, it took me like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Standing there with this customer service person, I was like, I'm not going to speak until I'm able to be in control of my emotions.
Rule number 3, have clear goals.
How do you continue producing results if you're suffering with depression?
I think you got to start first off and figure out how you can have positive energy throughout the day, because it's hard to build something meaningful and fulfilling and successful from a place of suffering. It's hard to, a lot of people suffer and create great work, great art, great music, all these other things, but the expense of them continuing to suffer. So on the external, you may create something meaningful to someone else, but if you're still suffering and you're still depressed, then I think it's never going to be enough. The thing you create, the thing you build is never going to be good enough for you. So focus on what does joy look like for you first? What does being happy look like for you? What does a fulfilled life look like for you? What will make you satisfied throughout the day with your vision? And I think a lot of depression comes from not having a clear vision, or it comes from losing your vision, or it comes from losing something, an identity, a crisis, a family member, something like that. People turn into this depressed state. And obviously, I'm not a psychiatrist, and there's clinical depression and other things, but I know for me, when I was in a depressed state after getting injured and losing my identity and not having a clue what my vision was, it was a challenge for me because I didn't know where I was going. So I believe we need to figure out where we're going and why. And that can be for a 3-month window, it can be for a year, it doesn't have to be for your lifetime, but just where are you going next? And how are you growing next?
Rule number 4, serve.
In business, when I started out, I think it was a lot of like, okay, let me do this for you and you do this for me. Let's do reciprocal type of stuff. I was in the online marketing world where it was about joint ventureships. It was about affiliate marketing, and I'll do this and then you promote me, right? And then I started to shift it. When I got into the podcast 7 years ago, I said, I'm just going to bring on people I like and I'm just going to serve. If it comes around, cool. If not, cool. And it's hard, I think, to switch that mentality, but it's so rewarding to come from a place of giving and service, to literally wanting to see other people succeed, whether they help you or not in return.
Good book by my man, Evan Carmichael, Built to Serve. If you want to learn about your purpose and how to become a better leader in the world, I love this. He says, this is the starting point for everything. If you're confused about what to do next, if you're pressured by others to fit in or live their version of your life, if you feel held back because of people judging you, it's because you don't know who you are and what you stand for. You got to figure out who you are and what you want and how you can serve other people.
Rule number 5, focus on vision first.
I've tried to do things in the past that I knew would make a lot of money and I knew would be very successful and could give me more credibility and all these things. And for whatever reason, every time I chase the success of the idea, the product, or the business, and instead of focusing on a vision first, within the first couple of years, I get exhausted, I get burnt out, I get bored, I get, a challenge comes up and I'm not interested, it's not part of my vision, so I don't focus on doing whatever it takes to achieve it. So in my opinion, I don't think it's wrong. You can chase the success, but I would just figure out a way to have it in alignment with your vision. Otherwise, it may not be fulfilling. You may be successful, you may make money, but it may not be fulfilling at the end of the day. So you just got to figure out what you want.
Rule number 6, have savings.
It's something I remember in 2008 when I was on my sister's couch. I remember saying to myself, never again do I want to feel broke, like I need to go back to my sister's couch. Like, hopefully there's enough time where I can be smart enough to not buy. I wear the same $20 shirt, probably like you, every day. I'm not out buying stuff. Like, I like to feel good, but I don't need to buy fancy things. I'd rather have money or investments or something that I could use for a time like this.
Rule number 7, acknowledge others.
It's so powerful to acknowledge. This is why at the end of my podcast, I acknowledge my guests. I try to acknowledge and appreciate all the time. You know, at dinner last night, I was just like, I appreciate you for bringing us out here. I appreciate you for picking up the bill, all these things. I was like, I appreciate you because I want to constantly be an appreciation of others. And if, you know, it just feels good to know that, one, it feels good to give, but the thing that I always wanted growing up was to be seen. Just like the homeless people, like I wanted to be seen and acknowledged for the good I was doing as like a 10-year-old. I didn't want to be acknowledged for the bad. I want to be seen and acknowledged for the good. And I think it's a lost art. The art of acknowledgement is so profound. When I acknowledge someone for who they truly are and I see them and I acknowledge that one thing in the moment, just my guess, it's like sometimes people light up and they're like, wow. Sometimes people are uncomfortable. It's interesting to see the response.
Yeah.
It's hard to receive acknowledgement for what we're good. And I think it's just, I don't know, it's human nature to feel uncomfortable sometimes. But I feel like that's the thing that so many of us want. We're seeking acknowledgement. Why do you think we're so driven to write books and to make money and build a business and create art and music and videos and movies? It's like, yes, it's a creative outlet, but we want others to see it and see the beauty behind our work.
Yeah.
And see like the magic behind who we are and how creative we are. We want to be seen and acknowledged. It's what drives us. And yet it's the thing that few of us do for others. We don't acknowledge others. I feel like it's a lost art.
Yeah.
And I think to give you guys something to take away, find 3 people today that you can acknowledge. It can be a simple sentence, just like I acknowledge you for the incredible research and thoughtfulness and detail that you do, Sean, for each one of your episodes, because it literally transforms lives. And you put so much effort and energy into knowing all the research. And I hear this all the time, the people who listen to you, they're just like, he's so thoughtful with his research. And so I acknowledge you for that. It can be that. You're welcome. It can be that, but do that for 3 people today. Like after you listen to this podcast, do it to your partner, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, wife. Do it to your kids.
Yeah.
Your kids need acknowledgement the most.
Yes.
Like I felt like I didn't have acknowledgement, even though I'm sure I did.
Yeah.
I felt like my parents didn't look me in my eyes and say, you're doing so good right now. Like you're doing so good. Today you did such a good job, like being patient or being this. Like I acknowledge you for this.
Yeah.
Keep it up. I love you. Like find those 3 people and just practice it. Practice it every day.
Yeah.
It's a lost art, but I think it's a powerful thing to do.
Rule number 8, start with small things.
How do you get back into a healthy lifestyle with good habits and routines after you get in some type of rut or some type of breakdown? So Ben, what I would say is start very small with small actions you can take within the first hour of your day. Number 1, have a clean space every single time after you wake up. So make your bed. It's very important for me to make my bed every morning because it gets me clear and decluttered for the rest of the day. Number 2, do something every single day where you move your body. A lot of times when I get in a rut, I don't feel like working out. I don't feel like doing anything. I just want to lay around and have Sprinkles cupcakes, which we're about to drive by, and some ice cream. That's all I care about. So I understand that it's hard sometimes to get out of a rut and really inspire and motivate yourself to do this, but do something really small. I'm going to do 10 minutes of power walking. I'm going to walk up hills. I'm going to do 100 sit-ups. I'm going to do something small to get started. It doesn't have to be this 2-hour experience of I need to lift and kill myself every day or do CrossFit. Start small and build upon that. I would also say to really surround yourself with people who inspire you, people who are developing great habits already, people who have the routines down, and just follow them. Just follow what they're doing, show up to the gym with them, show up to lunch with them, eat better. All those things will support you in getting out of a rut.
Rule number 9, find mentors.
When you first broke your wrist and you were still sleeping on the couch, what strategies did you use to harness your power and turn it into who you've become?
First broke my wrist was on the couch. What strategies did I use to harness my power?
Yeah, to use it to become the person you are today.
I think I leaned mostly on the stuff I already knew from sports, and that was finding people who had the answers, who could coach me. And so early on, I was constantly looking for those mentors, the people who had achieved results in their business and their career. And so I was just going to a lot of events. I was connecting with local business leaders in Columbus, Ohio, and I was just asking as many questions as I could and listening and then taking action. And so for me as an athlete, I was really good at receiving coaching from people I respected and then taking action on that coaching and getting feedback based on my results and based on what I was creating. So I think it was using that athlete mentality and applying it to life.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is open up.
I hit 30. I go through a really bad. I moved to LA for a girl. She breaks up with me the day I move here. After she demanded I moved here.
Oh, wow.
Made it an ultimatum, which was already a red flag, and I already knew my intuition was off. But I was like, I did stupid things my whole life, so it's all good. But it was the greatest lesson for me. Like moving here for a girl, when I said I would never move for a girl, was the greatest lesson that I wouldn't be doing the podcast without moving to LA, feeling stuck, feeling trapped. I was in LA traffic, going through this breakup. I went through a business partnership breakup, and I was just like, everything was breaking down, it felt like. And I was stuck in traffic after a few months in LA, and I was like, why the hell am I here? Like, I hate LA. I love New York City where I was living, pursuing my dream of this handball stuff, making tons of money. I felt like on top of the world. And I moved to LA for a girl. I feel stuck. Everything's falling apart. And I'm trying to go like 2 miles. It takes me an hour, right? I went at the wrong time.
Why the hell am I here?
Why the hell am I here? And I started thinking to myself, there's gotta be other people that are feeling this as well, who are stuck in traffic. Everyone just looked miserable around me in this traffic in LA. And I was like, I bet people around the world are like stuck in traffic, because I was walking everywhere in New York, so I didn't experience this. I was like, I bet there's people who are just stuck in life like I feel right now. And a couple of my friends had podcasts, and I was like, I wonder about this podcast thing. I wonder if I could find a channel to create something to help people who are stuck. So I called my 2 friends who had podcasts right then. This is in 2012, before podcasts were a thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, tell me about this podcast thing. Do you like it? What's the deal? They were like, I love it. Both of them said, like, I love it. It's the most fun thing I'm doing. Like, it's helping my business, my brand, and I'm in love with it. And I go, if these guys can do this, I could figure this out. And right then it was like the path. I was like, what would it be called? Like, I don't know. I've just always been focused on like trying to achieve amazing things, great things. But I've sucked in school my whole life. Like, I wish they taught these certain lessons from sports and mentors that I'm finding like in school.
Definitely.
It's like the school of
Let's
greatness.
go to the Hill and change the curriculum, because
Exactly, right?
I think it's terrible. Well, a lot of it's pointless. That's really the point of it.
They don't teach. They teach us how to study for a test, but they don't teach us how to deal with our emotions when we fail it.
100%.
They teach us how to memorize things, but don't teach us how to communicate properly. They, a lot of these things. So
Teach us how to avoid failure and not be successful.
Exactly. So I came up with a podcast then, and during that time, right after that time, I also like got in a fight. I was in a fight on the basketball court because I was so used to, when things weren't going my way, reacting negatively and with anger, because I didn't know how to communicate my emotions. I didn't know how to be
we hadn't
vulnerable,
practiced it.
express how I feel. Because in school, it was acceptable to, when someone upsetted you, to fight them or to slam a locker and be angry. It was acceptable because that was kind of the behavior that you expected from someone like that, like a young boy. Because every time I tried to express my emotions, I was made fun of and laughed at and called weak. So I never knew I was able to. And so at this time, business breakdown, relationship breakdown, getting in fights, and just feeling stuck. And it was a moment where I said, okay, my friend was here at the fight, who works with me now, and he was like, I don't want to hang out with you anymore.
Whoa.
This is one of my best friends, college football, worked together, everything. He's like, I don't want to hang out with you anymore.
Aggressive.
I was like, wow, my best friend doesn't want to hang out with me. That's like, it's time to look within. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not everyone else is wrong anymore.
Yep.
It's time to look at myself. Yeah. And I started saying, I'm gonna shed all this stuff. I think it's hard for us to make a change in our life unless there's some type of breakdown.
Yeah.
And the bigger the breakdown, the more we're able to look and say, okay, what's working and what's not working.
Right.
It's really hard to change anything we have going on.
Bigger the breakthrough.
That's it.
I mean.
And it was kind of a perfect storm. And I started going to a lot of workshops and got asked for coaching from a lot of people, talking to therapists. Anyone I could talk to who I thought could help me, I would talk to, I would do their program. And that's what helped me finally start to break down the walls. It was like opening up about all my traumas of my past and just addressing it, acknowledging it, talking.
Friends or to like a therapist?
I started in like kind of group workshops where I opened up for the first time in 25 years about being sexually abused.
Wow,
And
that had
just-
to be like pretty emotional.
Yeah,
baggage
I was
to-
like, I'm taking this to the grave. I was like, no one needs to know this because no one will love me if they knew this about me.
Right.
No one will accept me. Everyone will think I'm a whatever. I just made up
Yeah.
stories. So when
Blame you.
Everything, yeah. And so when I started talking about that, I was like, and people actually accepted me for talking about it. I was
Yeah.
like, wow. Like, let me just share everything. Then I just
You're like, well, if that's gonna blow you away, let me.
But I was so scared to talk about my emotions, and I said, man, I don't want to be scared of this anymore. So let me do it, talk about it all the time until I'm not scared. And then I had power over all of it.
Well, I was gonna just say you take its power away.
I took my power back. Like,
from it.
and listen, I still get triggered every now and then, and things
Sure.
happen, and I'm like reactive. But I'm so quick to be like, okay, you're going back to a place of scarcity, of fear, of insecurity,
Yeah.
and that's not who you are. That's not who you want to be. So I reflect on it, I address it, I create a new commitment to myself, I meditate, I work out, make my bed, and I focus on just trying to be a better person every day.
Now I've got a very special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? When you get motivated, inspired, you have a 35% chance of following through. But when you get motivated, inspired, and you create a plan of action, you have a over 90% chance of following through. And when you share it with other people, it jumps to 95% chance. Your likelihood of following through. And so I want that to be you from this video. We don't just watch videos here, Believe Nation. We do something. We take action. So I want to know your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week. Leave it down in the comments below because I want to celebrate you.
How do you cope working in an environment where there is so much malicious people and envy, where only the powerful ones get a break and the introverted are left out? How do you cope working in that environment?
Well, I'm not introverted, so I don't have a problem with that. But I think in an environment where there's a lot
Malicious people and envy.
of malicious people and envy, I just try to stay in my lane and focus as much as I can on my vision. Now, sometimes I get off track and I allow negative conversations or comments to affect me, and I'll talk about them. I'll think about them for a couple of days, but typically I'm pretty good at being committed to my vision, staying in my lane. You know, my friend Chalene Johnson, she always said, run your own race. Don't try to run anyone else's race. Don't try to be like anyone else or feel like you have to keep up with other people. And so I really just focused on my vision and you know, being committed to that. So that's what I try to focus on. I remember early on, I got in probably 2009, I got in a Twitter battle with this guy that I never met. He was another like marketing social media guy. I think he might have written a book or something. He had a little bit of credibility in the social media space. And I remember he said something that offended me, and I started tweeting back, and he kind of fed into my, you know, going back and forth with him. And we were like for 3 days, just like both reacting to each other, calling each other names. And I remember some people were like supportive and like jumping on with me and like kind of going after him. And then at one point in day 2, someone was like, you just need to let this go. This is not, one, it doesn't look good for you. 2, it's a waste of your time. And 3, it's taking you away from your vision. And I remember early on, just that lesson, I can't remember who told me that, but I remember early on just being like, yeah, this is not helpful. Just to constantly combat with other people who are malicious or who are envious or attacking in any way. So anytime I see negative comments now or anything that I feel like could take me off track, I just smile or say thanks for the feedback and keep focused. And I think that's what you should be focusing on, is staying committed to the vision and on running your own race.
If you want 10 more amazing rules with Lewis Howes, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
If everything is tied around a story of this is bad, this is wrong, I'm in a bad place, I'm messing up, I'm going broke, that energy is going to pull you away from service.
Exactly.
Or creation